Okay, we should be live. Hello and welcome back to the Football Rundown. Of course, we're live here with the preview for the Stockport County versus Plymouth Argyle tomorrow, Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. Hopefully, everyone can hear me okay as well. I think we had a few sound issues on a few live streams, so hopefully it's working and it's not a problem this time around. Do let me know, of course, in the comment section below live if there is any issues with the sound, and I'll try and address it as best as I can. But yeah, hopefully everyone's doing well this Friday evening. Obviously, looking forward to the game a lot. Very much because of the news of Tanto signing. Of course, what was it, Wednesday? Was it Wednesday evening, Wednesday afternoon? That he was confirmed as a Stockport County player on loan till the end of the season. That has just made me, buzzing for the game tomorrow, and I'm really happy. It's just less than 24 hours away now that we'll hopefully see Tanto start in a Stockport County shirt once again. And yeah, I think it comes at I think it comes at the right time. I think it comes at a good time. Spoke about it a bit when I did the sort of video on Tanto signing, but I think it's the right signing at the right time in terms of where the team's at, and the way that it's just it's given the fan base a huge lift as well, hasn't it? And we've not even got to match day yet with him as a county player. So yeah, absolutely buzzing with that one. But obviously, he's not the only player there. There's obviously going to be 10 other players starting that game that have, well, given us a reason to be positive over the last sort of few weeks, because it had been a little bit of a downward spiral. It felt like near the back end of 2025, and I think that this year so far, bar maybe the disappointing draw with Northampton on New Year's Day and a disappointing defeat against Reading away a couple of days sort of later on. I think we turned the corner. That 1-0 win over Huddersfield, then getting the win over Rotherham, albeit a little bit of a sort of shaky performance in the end after what was a really good positive start. I think we have turned a corner. I think, I really do believe that. I think we're 4 unbeaten now, looking to make it 5 with a win tomorrow over Plymouth. They're in good form themselves as well. Do want to get everyone's thoughts. So if you are watching live, do get your thoughts in and get your questions in as well. So yeah, Plymouth Argyle currently 14th in League One. They're 6 unbeaten. I think they have not lost since Boxing Day's 4-1 defeat to Reading at home park. Obviously, we went there sort of early September, might have been. They've scored 1 in each of the last 6 games, apart from a 3-0 win over Birds on the 4th of January. So every other game in their unbeaten run, they've won 1-0 or drawn 1-1. So that tells me that even if we do see them get a result tomorrow, it will probably be by a narrow scoreline. They're currently, as I say, their best form of the season, probably. And that's put them 14th place, 7 points from the relegation places, and 8 points off the playoffs, with a game in hand over current 6th place Huddersfield Town, which I guess is sort of shown that maybe Plymouth sort of showing a bit of patience with Tom Cleverley, at the beginning of the season. Might just be starting to sort of prove correct for them, because they do seem to be sort of turning the corner themselves. Obviously, they've got, is it Lorenzo Lage, I think it is, one of the highest scorers in League One with 12 goals already in League One so far this season. That's only one less than Kyle Wootton, of course, who did score his 13th of the season in League One against Blackpool on Tuesday night. I mean, he's just a man in form at the moment as well, Kyle Wootton. It's he's one of those players I've obviously been critical of at times, mainly sort of last year, I think, and possibly maybe even the season before, I can't remember. But this year, there's not really been too much to be critical of Kyle Wootton for. Obviously, there's been games where it hasn't necessarily worked, but that's not necessarily been down to him as much. I think that what will help him now is that he's got 2 pacey strikers to sort of play alongside, and I very much think he will be playing alongside those players rather than them playing instead of. I think we are going to play a front two now for the majority of the games. Obviously, injuries can happen. We've got one with Benno Anderson at the moment, so we will look to play two up top, I believe, for the majority of the time. That's why I think we brought in 2 strikers in January. Obviously, Anderson getting injured has been a disappointment, because he was starting to, as I say, get a bit of a run in the team, starting to probably look a little bit like sort of closer to what we saw maybe back in the last season, after a really difficult first half of the season for him in a county shirt. This sort of injury he's got, it's another ankle injury, and from what I've been listening to, from what I've been hearing, if he might need surgery on it, and if he has surgery on it, then that will be a season ender potentially for Anderson. So it just feels like it's not been the season for Andresen that we were hoping for. We were, thinking that sort of the signs we'd seen the back end of last season from him, and then Alafi moving on to Charlton, we thought, well, we've not really replaced him either. We thought, well, hopefully Benno Andresen takes the opportunity, and he's not really had a lot of game time. Then Nathan Lowe, of course, came in as well. So it's just been a little bit of a frustrating season, I think, for Benno Andresen. It's been frustrating for us as fans watching that because we know how good he can be. We know that the potential he's got is it's head of League One for me. So it's been frustrating for him, and I do feel sorry for him. And hopefully it won't be a season ender if he ends up having surgery. But obviously, if it is the case, it is what it is, and we're already looking at next season for him. But obviously, I sort of mentioned it there. Tanto Alafi, of course, back. I don't think there's a single county fan that isn't happy to see him come back to Stockport County. Obviously, we saw Evra go in the opposite direction on loan to Charlton until the end of the season, going the other way, which I think it's the right decision. We spoke about it a little bit in the video. Was it just yesterday actually? Yeah, that's why I delayed the preview till today, of course. So yeah, I think it's interesting with Febs. I think it'll be interesting to see how he does at Charlton. Bit of a weird one because he's not really got game time at County. So how is he going to make that step up to getting game time in the Championship with Charlton? Possibly they'll play a different formation that might get the best out of him. Now I have heard some people suggesting the reason why we were allowing Jaden Fevre to move on was because we're going to bring Louis Barry back on deadline day. Now, I know that I don't think I was saying we were going to get a Laffy at the beginning of this window, um, and we've managed to do that. But I don't think we're going to get Louis Barry, to be honest, on deadline day. He's obviously gone back to Aston Villa. He's currently injured, I believe. I don't know how long that injury is going to be there for. Well, I don't know when he's going to be back available, sort of back playing. But I can't see Louis Barry coming back to Stockport County this season. And I think that when you look at the players we've got, Wootton, Andresen, unless that, of course, that is a season ender, in which case the guest is kind of makes sense. But how long's Barry out for? But then you've got Sidibe as well, and Tanto's just come back on loan in sort of areas. We don't really play with wingers. We sort of diamond play behind the striker for quite a lot of games. So for me, I can't see it. I can't see it. But look, I'm happy and I'm open to being proven wrong on that one. If we get to deadline day and Louis Barry's holding up a county shirt and he's going to be able to play some part of this season, then fair enough. Whether that would be a loan deal, I don't know. Whether or not it would be a permanent, I think it would be incredibly difficult to do permanent in January in the situation we're currently in. I guess that kind of brings me on as well is would that be a priority? Because I think we've done the bulk of our business now in January. When I sort of look at it and I think forwards, we're pretty well stacked now. Midfielders, I think we're really, in a strong position now with Louis Spate coming back as well. And how does he manage to find himself into Challoner's starting 11 midfield with the players in front of him? You've got Norwood, you've got to get past Bailey, who's been, for the most part, he's been good this season. Osborne as well, who can also play midfield. There's a lot of players there to get past. You got Camps when he's back from injury. Even Fiorini's still hanging around the place. Not really sure what's happening with him. There's a lot of players in midfield. We may well see someone move on, before the end of the window, possibly Fiorini. I think Camps and Fiorini would probably be the two most likely players to move on. But I would keep hold of Camps, to be honest. I know he's got 2 years. Well, he signed a 2-year deal in the summer, so he's got a year and a half left in his contract. And I still think he offers a purpose for as long as he's fit. Doesn't we've sort of said about Andresen, weren't we? He's not had the game time this season. I feel the same about Callum Camps. I feel like it's not really worked for him this season in terms of we've never really been able to get him on the pitch, sort of often enough. So it's been a frustrating one, but I do think the midfield depth is fairly strong now. Defensively, I think we're strong. I mean, Brad Hills has been unbelievable. There was a bit of time where he was injured, but he's come back maybe the last month or two, and he's been probably one of our best players, if not our best player over the last month or so. So I think we're strong defensively. We're yet to see Hoskinen come back. We've got Onyango coming back as well at some point. Right wing back, we're really strong now. With the two options we've got in terms of Dixon and of course Dacker's Cogley. So the only real weakness, if I'm going to find fault, and I'm really going to nitpick, because I actually think in January, I think we saved our squad. I think we've saved potentially our season with what we've done in January. The only two weaknesses I can really find in the squad now is left wing back or left back, and maybe possibly the goalkeeper. I just think that if you look at, as good as I think Teo Eden is, if you look at the drop off in quality between him and then going to your backup in Owen Dodgson, there's a clear sort of difference in quality between those two. But other than that, pretty strong. And then, as I say, keeper situation, I think Hinchcliffe's going to be moving on potentially at the end of this season. I can't remember how long's left in his contract. And of course, he's been displaced once again, just like he was last season. And bar anything ridiculous happening, like Hinchcliffe getting injured against Wigan back in February, I don't really see Adai getting back in. And I think he'll look at it and say, "Look, I've been here for 2 years now. I've not really it's not worked out how I wanted to." And I think that we'll see Corey Adai move on as well, which I think would be a really smart thing to do in terms of whether or not we remain in League One or we go up to the Championship. It would be really smart, I think, for us to sign one really, really good goalkeeper and then allow Max Metcalf and Andrew Wogan, I think it is, to battle it out for number 2, and then one's number 2, one's number 3. Rather than bringing in 2 keepers in the summer, get 1 and allow and trust in those 2 that we've got currently behind Hinchliffe and Adai. That would save the budget. It would allow us to get a really good top number 1 goalkeeper, and then it would also allow us to free up wages across the rest of the squad in the summer. But that's talking more about the summer. Obviously, we've got a game against Plymouth tomorrow. One I'm very positive about, about one that I would be expecting to get 3 points from. As much as I think Plymouth, has, I've just said it there before, but they're sort of in the best spell of form they've been in all season. We're getting very close to being the best form of, best spell of form we've been in all season as well. I know we had a really sort of strong spell. Actually, it was actually after Plymouth last time out where I think we had Cardiff after them, and then we sort of went 7 or 8 games. I think it was unbeaten, and then that was a really strong spell. And then obviously we lost Ollie Norwood, and everything went wrong from there. But we managed to sort of over the last few weeks, and it has sort of coincided with Norwood coming back. I know he came back, was it against Mansfield just before Christmas? We got a win there for the first time in 42 years. He still hasn't looked quite back to his best yet, but I think that for me, I don't believe it's a coincidence that he's come back, and we've been mostly better since then. I know we've had a few bad results in that time as well. It was disappointing against Lincoln, but for the most part, it has been better since he's been back in the side. And I think it doesn't take an expert to know that would have been the case. Right, what's being said here then in the chat? Camps and Connolly are both out this season, according to Dave Challoner. Right. Camp's out for the season then. Maybe in the summer he moves on then because he's signed a 2-year deal. He's not really played for us this season. Connolly's a disappointing one because I didn't rate him in the first season, and I think this season, when I've watched him play, maybe I've just got a better perspective of watching the game of football, or maybe he's just improved. But for me, I think when Connolly's played this season, he's looked a lot better, and it was disappointing when he got injured. Was it just before the Cambridge Cup game? Maybe so. It was around that time, maybe mid-November, where he got injured, and I was disappointed with that one. And obviously Hills has come in since taking that sort of position, and like I say, he's been unbelievable. But it is a shame about Connolly not being available. And if he is out for the season, then that is going to be, a sort of a disappointing one. And that's why we need Hoskinen to step up and be available soon, because we thought we were going to have him back initially in November. He's still not back now, and we're into nearly February, so that's nearly 4 months on from when we first thought we'd be seeing him in the county shirt. If it goes on any longer, there will be serious questions about whether or not he actually exists. I know some people have already been saying that, but it gets to that point. Bring back Paul Jones and Lee Todd. That was probably this era, wasn't it? I don't know. So yeah, I think that lost where I was at now. I think for the most part, I think what we've done in January, I think, like I say, it might be maybe a little bit of an exaggeration to say it's rescued our season, but I think that the recruitment in this in the in the summer didn't feel great. I think actually at the time, I think we felt fairly positive about it because we were sort of trusting the process. I guess we were sort of believing that maybe these players that Challoner had brought in, like Dodgson, and that would have kicked on, would have worked. And we tried to have a bit of faith. We very quickly realised these players that we brought in weren't up to standard, and therefore, on reflection, I think we all looked at it and gone, "It's been a bad window." what and look, that could be the same here. We could be saying in 2 weeks or 2 months from now, actually the January window wasn't that great, but at the moment it feels great, and at the moment it feels good, and it does feel like you know, if the players go on to do what we think they'll go on to do, then it's been a huge improvement on the recruitment that we had in the summer. I mean, I actually look at it now, and I don't want to say anything that sort of dramatic or anything that's sort of out there, but I guess I'm going to say it with what we've done in this window. I'm very, very positive now that we might get automatic promotion. So, um, yeah, that's my feelings on that one. Luke said, "Hi there, how are you doing? I'm good, thanks. How are you? Not joined in ages. We're not done a live in ages, actually. I think the last time we did a live was the Huddersfield preview. What went on at Cardiff? Did Dan get his drum taken off him? I wasn't aware of what was happening at Cardiff. He would have been at the front, I'm guessing. I think that's where he was going to be, and I don't know if they let him in with the drum or not. I can't even remember, to be honest. I think at one point I remember saying to Adam like, "Oh, we've not got the drum in." I didn't even notice it. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I mean, obviously Cardiff was a little bit of a it was a bit of a toxic atmosphere all around, wasn't it, in terms of their stewards and our fans and their stewards. Yeah, it just became a mess, especially once their striker got injured. Yusuf Selek got injured, didn't he? And then obviously free side ground all water. Brad Hill was sent off, and the fans, well, the Cardiff fans just never really seemed to let that one go then from that moment onwards. And it felt like the stewards who were kind of the same, really. They seem to be quite aggressive towards us from what I've heard and from the little bits that I saw, just the way they were sort of pushing past us a bit aggressively on the way out. But yeah, I guess that's why you shouldn't really sort of employ fans as stewards because you know if the fans are getting wound up by the opposition and it's a good job the stewards will, but, they're fans of the club as well. So I don't know. I think Lincoln will bottle. I'm good, thanks. I don't think it's for me, I don't think it's necessarily Lincoln. I think he'll bottle it. I think that if Cardiff drop a few points, I think that very quickly then Lincoln will be encouraged and think that they're suddenly in a chance of winning the league. And then I think what happens there is then you've got two teams suddenly fighting for the top spot. And when that happens, then you get both teams looking at one another's results. That's when pressure sort of starts to be applied to one another. And I sort of think there's an opportunity here where Cardiff drop a few points, Lincoln then get encouraged and like sort of enter a title race. Them two are battling out. Them two start to battle it, and then County just go about their business very quietly and take top spot and win the league. That would be a dream scenario. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. It would take a lot for that to happen. But what I would say is, at the moment, it's been a lot better from County. And if County just keep winning their games and going about things quietly and just doing their job, winning the games we should win, not losing the games we shouldn't, and we'll probably be there or thereabouts, won't we? Now, obviously, football doesn't work like that. We should probably, what September was it? We played Plymouth away. Based on how the league was at the time, we should have won that game, and we didn't. So, yeah, it's one of them. We've got some big games coming up as well. I mean, we've still got to play Lincoln yet. We've still got to play Bradford. They've sort of dropped off the last few weeks. I think they lost. Did they lose to Lincoln? Actually, it might have been on Tuesday. They lost to Huddersfield last Saturday. They're dropping off at maybe the wrong time. So yeah, who knows what will happen with that one? Go through the comments. Toxic club. To be fair, I got abused by one of their players in the home game. Right. Well, there we go. There we go. Having said that, I think there was an altercation with one of our fans. It might have been with Huddersfield at Edgy Park a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, back to my I think 4-0 County. Well, 4-0 would be that's almost what we should have had against Blackpool. Obviously we won the game 2-1 and goal from Blackpool. I didn't mention actually at the end of the vlog, it was actually a really good goal from Blackpool. We sort of just dismissed that very quickly, but it was disappointing to concede the goal late on, but it was a really good goal actually. And yeah, that probably doesn't get the credit it deserved because it was a bit of a consolation goal. But yeah, that game against Blackpool, we should have won that one comfortably. That should have been 5 or 6. That was, I think I said going into the game, I wanted a comfortable game. I wanted to win the game by quite a few goals, and we put in a performance that probably did deserve that. But hopefully tomorrow we get a big win. I don't know, but 4-0. I like the confidence. I have to say that. I'm not sure. I don't really have a scoreline in my head, to be honest. Um, yeah, get back to me. I'll get back to you on that one. I'm going tomorrow in the Cheadle End. Very good. Hope you enjoyed that one. Are you going to be in the top tier if I see you? Can I get a photo? Um, I don't do photos. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a celebrity, but I will be in the upper tiers. Um, we had a Wrexham of last season. Didn't bring in the players to get better, and I think injuries. I think they had injuries too. Um, I don't know if we're the Wrexham of last season. I don't think any county fan wants to be talked about as the Wrexham of last season. I get what you're saying, though. I think that they sort of managed to get second in the end, didn't they? And you probably wouldn't have thought that at points in the season. Um, who's your player of the season? Mine's Wootton and Brad Hills for young player of the season. Ollie's free kick for goal of the season against Tranmere Rovers. A bit of a sore one for that for me because I was meant to go to that game and I missed it, despite having a ticket. Um, but yeah, I was gutted with that one. Player of the season so far would be. I'm trying to think about this one. See, I've always been a massive critic of Carl Wootton. Well, not always, but I was last season. So a lot of people think I hate Carl Wootton, which I don't. Um, but it's hard to argue with that, really, isn't it? I think Carl Wootton has probably been because Norwood's been injured a little bit. Wootton plays every game. I said this about Norwood on the live, then he got injured the next day, so I'm not gonna say that, but he does always play. Um, and there hasn't been anyone that's really individually stood out loads this season. It's probably a toss-up between Hales and Wootton, and I'm gonna go with Carl Wootton because I like a goal scorer, and he's not a typical goal scorer, but this season he has scored 13 in the league already, so he's on course for his best goal scoring season ever in a county shirt, which is mad. Um, young player of the season, Hills, yeah, because he could arguably be our best player this season as well. Trying to think of someone else that stood out as a young player this season. I mean, he's not had loads of minutes, but from the bits I have seen from Alan, he's impressed me. Can we see more of that? I'm not sure. Shea Gardner did well, didn't he, in a few games in sort of December time when he played against was it Doncaster away and that. So yeah, I mean that's the thing for me. I'd like to see a little bit more younger players getting opportunities. I get it's difficult. Um, we're in the sort of latter of the Virtue Trophy now, and sort of big league games. Every game matters in the league. You can't really mess about. But yeah, that's something I'd like to see us do a little bit more in the future when we have the opportunity to. Having said that, we've done that in games. We put out a load of young players, and then we get battered, don't we? So I think there's a way to do it. I think we can win two. I think we can win 2-1. That'd be a good score. Just want to go back to this one because I should have said goal of the season. Goal of the season for me would be goal of the season for me. I think Odin Bailey had one. Osborne had one against Doncaster. I think it was. Um, I'm going to say Ollie Norwood's free kick against Burton. We've both gone with Ollie Norwood free kick. The last game I went to was the Harrogate in the Virtue Trophy last minute goal. That's the game I was on about with Alan, where he basically created both the goals. I've not been to a Virtue Trophy game yet this season, and I'm sort of jumping on the bandwagon now at the quarter-final stage when we play Port Vale in a couple of weeks. I think we'll meet Plymouth in the Papa John's at Wembley if we get there. Will you go? Yeah, and my plan is now to try and get to any of the remaining games in the Virtue Trophy. So I've not been to any of them yet because and with the Virtue Trophy, it kind of gets to that point in the competition. The further you go, you kind of get to that point. I don't know about anyone else who's not been to them yet, but you kind of go, at what point do I go? Because if I want to go to Wembley, I can't just turn up at the final. That's kind of how it is in my head. So if we go to Wembley, I will probably be there. I'd be surprised if I'm not there for the final at Wembley. I'd be surprised if I'm not there for the semi final as well, whether that be at home or away. Which I think will end up being Huddersfield. I think if I read it correctly, I can't remember what's going on with that one or whatever it's called. Keep changing the name. Yeah, it's currently Virtue Trophy at the moment. I say at the moment that could change. My first county game was the pre-season friendly versus Salford, where we drew 1-1. All right, well, not exactly the most enthralling game. Was that this season then? the one because we played Salford and then we played Hull the next day, I think it was, at Edgeley Park. And that's where Edon got injured and Lewis Bate got injured. Uh, I mean, it was great to see Lewis Bate back playing again. Actually, he got 5 minutes, I think it was, against Blackpool on Tuesday. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see how we kind of fit everyone in this midfield now, come the end of the season. Oh, well, into the second half of the season because I think I mean, I'm pretty well set. I think we're gonna play a free a free if I can remember the formation now. We're gonna play 3-4-1-2, not a 3-4-2-1. Because at times in the beginning of the season, we're playing with the two behind Cal Wotton. I think we're now gonna play with just one behind the two strikers, and I think we'll play that way. So if we play that way, then you've only really got room for two central midfielders. Now we might change at times. It was a thought at the back against Blackpool, and I couldn't really work out what it was. When I was sort of um, looking at it on paper, well, not obviously not on paper, but looking at the team sheet, I was like, it looks more like, if anything, it's gonna be a 4-4-2 diamond. Now I'm not really sure how it played out in the end, to be honest. I was just enjoying watching the game, so I wasn't thinking about the formation. But I think if we try and squeeze in Bate and Bailey and Norwood and Osborne, I think it will end up being a diamond at times because we wanna stick with playing two up top. And we don't really have a lot of wingers as such now, especially now Fevs has gone out and Diamond can play at the tip of a diamond, pardon the pun. So, yeah, I think that if we ever do, end up trying to squeeze them all in, it'll be through a 4-4-2 diamond formation. But I think we'll often do that in game and not to start the game. Couple of comments flying in. I'll try and catch up with where we're at. Um, yeah, the potential stadium maybe for the whole game. Fair enough then, yeah. Um, wasn't the best of games though, was it? To be fair. Tanto to score tomorrow. I think so. I think he'll score. Don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I think he'll score. I think he'll sorry, bloody group chat going off. I think he'll score. I think he'll get a goal pretty early on actually, and that'll just take the fan base um, to another level. Salford will get autos in League Two. Not really kept up with what they're doing, to be honest. I know they've changed the badge. That's about it. And I imagine they're doing reasonably well. Change of ownership, though, isn't there? I think they changed their ownership model maybe back end of last season. So some of the Class United who sold their shares, and they've got David Beckham and some of his sort of business partners in. So they've probably streamlined it. Probably got a little bit more sort of money behind it now. Because I'm guessing the Class 92's money was drying up, so bit more money into it now. Probably will end up going up to League One. Not really sure how they're doing, but if they do, we will hopefully not be there to meet them. Will you be doing any World Cup previews? Yeah, it's something I'm planning on. Whether it's on or I, as it stands at the moment, my plan is to be doing things around the World Cup. I am looking forward to it, but to be honest, it still feels very far away from me, and I think I'm yet to actually watch an England game under Thomas Tuchel. I'm just not that bothered about England when it comes to the friendlies or the qualifiers because we're always gonna qualify and we're always gonna get to the group stage, and we're probably always pretty much 9 times out of 10 gonna progress through the group stage. The only time in my lifetime we haven't qualified for a tournament, I think, was 2008. So we're pretty much nailed on to, obviously, we are in the group stage. We'll pretty much probably go through, and as I said, yet to watch a Thomas Tuchel England game in full. Be interesting to see what team he picks actually, with that squad. Sidibe's first touch looks shocking. He can run, yeah, but not sure he can play football. Yeah, I mean, he's a runner though, isn't he? We've brought him in purely as an athlete, in my opinion. Similarities to Tanto though. I mean, Tanto's brilliant. We all love him as a player, but there's problems with his game. He's not the best in terms of ball control and all that as well. So, well, it's actually more finishing. It's a problem for Laffy. But yeah, I mean, obviously they've looked at him. They want to bring in Sidibe. They had the option of leaving it to go to a pre-contract agreement in the summer, but they wanted him in now. And I think I think he'll end up causing problems. Whether or not he causes problems in front of goal for the opposition, is another story, but I think he'll play his part. But I think that Tanto coming in, like I say, kind of repeating myself from the video I did yesterday on it now, but I think Tanto coming in, it takes any sort of pressure and expectation off CDB and allows him to just do his thing and sort of quietly go under the radar, which might suit him. I'm not sure how he would take that as as a sort of personality. I'm not sure what his personality is like yet, but yeah, I think that I think definitely takes the pressure away from him. First touch maybe hasn't looked great, but we've only seen him in one half, and hopefully we'll be able to judge him a little bit more over sort of a bigger period of time. What's your team for tomorrow? I'll go through that one in a second. Do remind me, but let's go through that one in a second. My task is to meet Cal Wootton. He's my favourite player. Well, good luck with that one. Hopefully you do. By all accounts, he's from everyone I've heard talk about him who's met him, they've all said what a great person he is. So I'm sure if you get the opportunity, I'm sure he'll meet you and yeah, maybe even get a picture with him. I don't know. Yeah, every Tanto touch will be welcomed tomorrow. If he scores, it will go crazy. I've heard that Charlie's tactics from kickoff is pass to Tanto, just for the cheer. Um, I have a mate who's a Salford fan. We have friendly banter about each other's clubs, but it's only friendly. Yeah, that's fine. I'm amazed you found a Salford fan in the first place, to be fair, so fair play to you. I'm not getting up at 3 AM to watch the game, though. Which one's that one? Oh, the World Cup, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, I'll have to decide on that myself nearer the time. But yeah, 3 AM, forgot about that. Time zone. It's in America, innit? America, Mexico, and Canada. I can't remember where England are based now for it, but I think all the group games are in the same kind of area, aren't they? And then it changes after that point. It's a bigger tournament as well now, which has kind of ruined it for me. I much preferred it as a was it 32 teams before they put it up by quite an amount. Kind of takes away from it a little bit for me. My first League One game was the first game of the season versus Bolton. I was in the pub stand next to the away fans, and it finished 2-0. Yeah, I remember that one. It was Mothersill scored. I'm trying to think who else scored. It must have been Wootton. Must have been Wootton. Um, Go to the players' door normally after 1:45 they start to come out. Yeah, that's worth pointing out, yeah. 1:45. Trying to think now 'cause I've never really obviously never really bothered for that. It was Wootton. Yeah, thought it was. Thought it was. Um, Trying to think that feels ages ago now. Feels ages ago the beginning of the season. But yeah, looking forward to the game tomorrow. Need to think starting 11, right. So if we're working on the basis of it being a 3 at the back, which I think it will be, and people can remind me if there's any injury problems here, because I've not listened to Charlie's uh, pre-match interview first, which I probably should have done. I was busy sorting something. So I think Hinchliffe in goal. I think Daka's Cogley, he's been brilliant as well, by the way, since he's come in. Hills, Pye, maybe a Lowu. Um, Actually, we played back four, though, didn't we, on Tuesday? Will it be a back four or back three? I wanna say back three. I'm gonna say he's gonna go back to that. So he's gonna play a Lowu, unless Olowu's injured. Um, Pye, Hills, Teo Edun, who again has also been brilliant since he's come back from injury, I think it was. Then he's gonna go with Norwood and Odin Bailey as the two central midfielders. Jack Diamond's 50-50 apparently for tomorrow, so he might be available, he might not. I think Charlie will have him on the bench. I think he'll start Stokes, and then I think he'll play Wootton and Tanto up top. So I don't think I've named more than 11 players there. Motherstill's the interesting one though for me. I mean, whether what's gonna happen with him because, Diamond yeah, if we're playing 2 up top, then that means we're only playing 1 behind the 2 strikers instead of 2 behind the 1 striker. So that means there's only 1 position there now between Diamond, Stokes, and Mothersill. And since Stokes has come in, he's looked good. And I mean, for me, I think Stokes has looked better in the 2 or 3 games he's played for us than what I've seen from Mothersill all season. So I think that if you're Chally, you're gonna be thinking 3 players to play in that 1 position. Diamond starts 9 times out of 10 when he's fit, as frustrating as a player as as he can be. Then you've got Stokes, who, as I say, been really good since he's come in as well. Probably had his worst game for us against Cardiff, and, I still thought he was okay. So, I don't really see why Mothersill gets regular game time. So, I don't know what's gonna happen with it. Maybe he does just throw a curveball and start Mothersill tomorrow behind Alafi and Wootton. What I would say about Mothersill as well, though, I've said this, I think, to a few people. We might see a better version of Mothersill now that we've got 2 pacey strikers in the team, because when he played at Peterborough, he played in a very sort of quick, interchangeable front three, I think, or behind a quick interchangeable, front three, and I think that's probably where he's more suited to. I think when he's getting on the ball and he's got Wootton in front of him, with the greatest respect, he's not the quickest of players. You can't really play Wootton in, and sort of just, sort of run onto. So I think that has probably created issues, and he probably hasn't been able to, sort of adapt to that, and maybe we'll see a better version of him with Alafi and that coming back. Camps and Callum Cow for the season, and Benno injured, could be out for the rest of the season too. Yeah, they were saying, surgery potentially for him, which would see him out. Why don't we play Adai as much? He Why don't we play Adai as much like he's younger than Hinchliffe? Um, well, he made a few mistakes, didn't he, at the beginning of the season, which probably forced him out, and Hinchcliffe's come back, and for the most part, I know he had that terrible mistake against Rotherham. He has been largely very consistent. Obviously, the biggest issue we have is, his distribution, and that's something that he's never gonna improve on that now. He's always gonna be, find it difficult in terms of kicking, but, he has been, for the most part, solid, and I do think we do need a new goalkeeper in the summer, but I think it's a position we can afford to sort of deal with in the short term. I think we'll bring in a new keeper before the window shuts. Look, I mean, I'll be interested to see how much business we do before now and the window closing. I mean, what day does the window close? Is it the 1st or 2nd of Feb? Uh, 2nd of Feb's Monday, innit? Probably Monday. I don't know if a goalkeeper's necessary priority to bring in in this window. I think that I think definitely at the end of the season, but for me, if we were to bring in another player, I'd probably look at maybe a cover for Connolly, maybe an extra midfielder if we see Reed Camps out, maybe loan, or maybe even possibly a left back. I'm not entirely sure. Um, there is there is that Teddy Lowe something who plays for Bolton and was called from Chelsea, who was teammates with Joseph and Donny, who's a good goalkeeper, young, only 21, 22. Interesting, maybe one to keep an eye out on. I'll have a look at that one. Um, Ado makes too many mistakes. Nice guy, but not that good for us. I actually feel for the lad. That's how it goes, to be honest. I think I've read that correctly. Yeah, I just think with Adai, I mean, I like him again. Seems like I think they all seem like, decent people. And he definitely has moments where he looks like a good goalkeeper, but I just think that, as much as I try to defend him, I think that the issues with the not coming out for crosses, it's a clear problem in his game, and I think that a lot of teams were exploiting it earlier in the season, and if he did come back in, I think teams would be doing it again. That's not to say that Hinchlife's perfect, of course. Neither of those 2 keepers are perfect, but I do think that at the moment, Hinchliffe has been better for us, and I think we should stick with him till the end of the season, barring any injuries. Obviously, if we do go out and get a keeper, in January, it would surprise me. We would back him 100%, but I do think that we would be better sort of using that sort of budget elsewhere in the squad if we needed to. Um, do you think we'll sing "Tanto's on Fire" tomorrow? I think we'll sing that about 1,000,000 times tomorrow, and I think that everyone will be well, I think they'll have it on the PA before the game. I think they'll have I mean, tomorrow it will just be a Tanto festival, won't it? Pre-game, it will be unbelievable. I'd get in pretty quickly. I'd get in pretty early for the game tomorrow just because I think the atmosphere is gonna be building for probably half an hour, 40 minutes before the game, hopefully. If there's any game this season that's gonna have an atmosphere starting as early as that, it would be the game tomorrow. And 100% he starts. I think that You don't sign him on Wednesday and then get to the game on Saturday and put him on the bench. I think that anyone that is picking a team tomorrow, irrespective of how many, I know he's not played a lot of minutes necessarily for Charlton this season. He's had just 7 starts in the Championship for him. Um, he might not necessarily be able to play 90 minutes. That's fine. Start him. If he can only give you 45 minutes, you start him for 45 minutes just to get that fans on side. Having said that, imagine the atmosphere mid-game if if he came on as a sub. Um, he he'll not know what you posted something on his Instagram, what the county fans have a go at him. I was talking about Adai. I think it was to do with something to do with crosses, wasn't it? And he put something up on Instagram about coming for crosses. It was like crossing practice or something, and it was on his screen. So yeah, that sort of kicked off at the time. I don't know what's going on there. He's on the front of the program too, which I'm not surprised about. Yeah, I got my season ticket for Stockport County versus Wigan Athletic as well. I'm in the top of the Cheadle end, and I will have a wall behind me, same as tomorrow. I'm at the top. Well, hopefully the atmosphere is good. Hopefully you do enjoy it there. So yeah, I've never sat at the back of the Cheadle end, to be fair. Yeah, so hopefully it's an enjoyable experience. Like I said, I do expect it to be a positive result tomorrow. We are on a good run, and I think we're hitting form at the right time. I think we're on course. Look, it can all window if we have negative results tomorrow. But I think at the moment, I think we're on for those sort of county runs that we've had over the last few seasons. I mean, the second half of last season was a really strong period of time. That's probably why we were able to sort of just about miss out on the playoffs because of how strong we were at the beginning, sort of second half of the season. If we could right the wrongs of some of those games earlier in the season, then we would have gone up automatically. Um, yeah, with his baby in the highlights, I remember watching it when he signed. Let's get EP rocking. Hopefully, well, I don't think it'll take much to get it rocking tomorrow. All you've got to do is have a laughy warming up, and I think everyone will be buzzing with that one. Tanto coming back will increase tomorrow's gate. Someone special on Monday would do the same. Again, I think everyone's. I think I don't know what's going on with this. I think sometimes I'm in this world where everyone else knows it before I find out. Everyone seems to be alluding to Louis Barry signing on Monday, and it's like I've not heard anything about that. So maybe I'm living under a rock. Everyone seems to have this feeling that um, Louis Barry's gonna be a county player, maybe on loan, maybe on a permanent, on deadline day. If it did, it would be incredible, but at the same time, I just think that would be one step too much. I mean, what's next? Are we getting all the band back together? Are we gonna have Paddy Madden, coming back? At what point does it end? Is Sarcevic coming back then? You know what I mean? I think that Alafi's come in, it's been great. I wouldn't have predicted it to have happened at the beginning of the window. It has happened, and maybe that's why a lot of people are starting to think, "Well, we didn't think Tanto was possible, and look what's happened there. Barry's next." Possibly it is, but I wouldn't, um, I wouldn't be so certain at this moment in time. What do you think will be a sellout, um, in terms of which game, or do I think the game tomorrow will be a sellout? Let us know. Um, does Feb's going out on loan give him other silver on the wing? Either side, he does have pace. Potentially. Um, I mean, like I said, we haven't really been playing with out and out wingers, I don't think, for a lot of the season. We've generally sort of been playing with one behind the striker, or I guess we have played with 2 at times behind the striker. I don't know, I'm not sure if we're gonna play that way more now. I think now we're playing 2 up top. I think we'll play with just 1 behind the 2, and he'll sort of float between wide and sort of central like what Diamond does. So I don't know if Mobisol really had many opportunities. I mean, again, if we're also gonna bring in Barry, which is what some people seem to think will happen, then there's probably a chance Mobisol does end up going out on loan somewhere, because if you're gonna bring in Barry, whether even if it's a loan, it's gonna be big wages, and that means we're gonna have to get someone off the book. Um, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I bet Sky are upset about tomorrow. I hate dinner time kickoffs. Um, Why he's on 12:30 tomorrow? I don't think we'll get Barry. No, I'm not that certain that we will. Uh, would you like to sign Nathan Lowe on a full contract? No. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, he's gone back to Stoke anyway, hasn't he? I wouldn't. It's not happening. People who Barry 20 won't come until, I need to reword that. It's not happening. People Louis Barry 20 won't come maybe summer, I think he's saying there. Um, I don't know. I don't know if we can afford to do it. Will tomorrow be a sellout? I think it'll be close to a sellout, maybe just not because I think they still had some tickets available before. Uh, yeah. How many will Portsmouth bring? You're gonna have to tell me what you mean by that one. Do you mean Plymouth? I'm gonna assume you mean Plymouth, and I'm gonna say, I mean, it's an early start for them, isn't it? I mean, I think that every game for them when we went to Plymouth, we left at about 5:30 in the morning, and that was for a 3 o'clock kickoff, which is about the same time that we left at Cardiff on a 12:30. I'm gonna say, given the journey, given the trip, but then again, they're used to it, um, I'm gonna say that Plymouth maybe bring just under 1,000, maybe 700 or 800. I don't know. I think they'll create a good atmosphere though in that away end either way. Um, yeah. Yeah, sorry, Plymouth. Yeah, I thought it would have been. Are we going up this season and Plymouth have sold out the away end? Oh, they've sold out then. So I don't know how much the away end is necessarily. Is it like 1,000, something like that? Are we going up this season? Yes. Yes, we are. We're going up this season. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're going up this season. Plymouth fans will hate me, LOL. Why is that? You're gonna have to what's happened? There's something to that I don't know about. It's reported that Stoke have said that Nathan Lowe has returned from injury sooner than expected and want him to go out on loan again. Yeah, I read that earlier. I thought that was interesting because when we let him go back, it sounded more as if we let him go back because he was injured rather than not being good enough. Um, but I think it was the right decision. I mean, I think we're better off with what we've got at the moment than if we kept Nathan Lowe. Um, I don't think we played to his strengths. I don't think it suited him. Um, and I think that I think I said it when he left. I think he's a player with potential. I think he's a good player. I think he'll do well somewhere else. But sometimes a player fits a club, and sometimes a player doesn't fit a club. That's not necessarily always a knock on their ability as a player or a knock on the club. You know what I mean? It's like Moxon. Moxon scored in his debut for Wigan. He's meant to have done really well at Carlisle. He was well thought of at Portsmouth when when they got promoted to the Championship. But for whatever reason, it just didn't click at County. And I think that that's the thing. We can't have players like Tanto or Barry that, well, particularly in Barry's case, haven't done out well elsewhere, but come to County and it just seems to fit like a glove. And then not have players that also don't do well elsewhere and then just don't seem to play for us. Like it kind of goes both ways, doesn't it? So I think that Nathan Lowe will do well somewhere. I think he'll go out and maybe in League One. Seems to be a few teams in League One that are wanting strikers at the moment, the likes of Bradford, Bolton. A lot of teams in and around where we are all seem to be targeting a striker that is going to help get them over the line. So yeah, I mean Wrexham obviously loaned out Mullin to Bradford. I think they're loaning out someone. I think it's actually a former Plymouth striker. He's meant to be going out on loan to Bolton or Plymouth. So yeah, Portsmouth versus Plymouth Essex derby, is it? Is that an Essex derby? I don't know. But yeah, that's the 12:30 then, is it? Will he ever make it to the Premier League? Um, will whoever make it to the Premier League let us know on that one? Devon derby, yeah, I was gonna say. Is it Devon derby? Yeah, okay. Um, the Chippy on Edgeley is the best not been, to be fair. Always packed. I've been going there for years. Holland's cheese pie for me. Quick plug for them then, I guess. Bradford City have signed Paul Mullin from Wrexham. Yeah, I saw that, and I've seen the comments under it. I've seen so many Wrexham fans saying that, "Oh, look at how we can now loan players out to lesser teams," and I'm like, Don't forget where you were from, is what I would say to them. Um, yeah, they have loaned out a few players, haven't they? I saw Conor Cody went out on loan to Charlton, actually. Um, yeah. Stockport County, will they make it to the Premier League? Yeah, look, I think they will. I think they will. I don't know how long that will take, but I think that Um, I think it will happen. I think that a lot of teams have gone up to the Championship in recent years, and I almost don't wanna say this because of Wrexham, but, teams have gone up to the Championship in recent years, and look at it and that, and they're just Luton even. They go up and they seem to have that sort of momentum behind them, and it seems to just sort of take them up, and they almost bypass a lot of teams in the Championship that have been there for years. They just go straight past them and up into the Premier League. Is that necessarily the best thing? Not necessarily, because sometimes you're going up the leagues with such momentum, you're not necessarily got a squad prepared for what's gonna sort of be there for you when you get there. But I think County will get there at some point in the next 5 to 10 years. It all depends about the backing from start. How invested is he gonna be? They're drawing up a new 5-year plan at the moment. What happens after that 5-year plan? Do they make the Premier League in that 5-year plan? And if they don't, and it's 4 or 5 solid years in the Championship, does he then go, "You know what? We'll write up another 5-year plan to get to the Prem," or does he go, "You know what? We're a steady Championship club now, and the club's worth this much, and I can't take it any further, but I know someone that will." I don't know. It'll be interesting. Um, but I do think they'll get there. I do think we'll get there at some point. Might be time for Stott to pressure Chandler into playing the type of football he himself wants to see, like a Roman emperor. I've not enjoyed many matches this season. Flaccid up front, weak goalies. Yeah, I think style of play. I think, and the enjoyment of watching it has been lacking, and that's why. I mean, I think I'm sort of with you, and I understand we're not going to win every game like 2 or 3-0, but it doesn't mean we can't want that to happen. And going to a Blackpool game, I want that to be a 3 or 4-0 win. I think we're due those kind of wins. If you look at teams in our league this season, all of them pretty much have had at least a 4 or 5-0 win. You know, we've not really had one like that. The strongest performance we've had in terms of result was Port Vale away, and that was October. And even that was not the most comfortable first 20 minutes. I think people forget that. Um, Croasdale had 1 or 2 good chances before we went a goal up against Port Vale. I think someone else might have done as well for them. And if they take that chance, it's a different game. So that wasn't as plain sailing as 3-0 suggests. And even when we were 3-0 up, I thought, look, we did well, but we did what we had to do. I don't think we played really, really good. I think it was a good performance. I don't think it was a absolutely blow me away type performance. We've not really had one of them at all this season. I think the best performance we've had all season was against Blackpool on Tuesday night. I hope that we'll see the best performance all season tomorrow, and hopefully it's a 4-0 win like what someone in the chat said earlier. But we do need that, and we do need to start playing better football. And I get that, we got to get results. But the best teams can do both. Um, so yeah, that's what I think we need to start being. And for the money that's been invested, I think that it's only a matter of time, hopefully, before we see that. I certainly think with what we brought in January, we should be expecting to not win every game. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but we do need to, really, really put some teams to bed quite comfortably. Um, so I do agree with you on that point. What's the one crowd? Uh, what's the one crowd near my name? Was Sorry, you're gonna have to tell me what you mean, Mark. I like the Bradford vlogger. He's good, but yours are better. Thanks very much for that one. He doesn't show the game where you do. Yeah, it's a different style. A lot of people who do vlogs do it differently to probably how I do it. I like to basically I do my talking with by showing the football because that's what people want to see. And then I get my thoughts in. I think it's a good format. I think it works. I think it might change at times going forward. Um, just because of the sheer effort that goes into it at the moment. I think we might change approach, possibly next season. But yeah, uh, this is a bit off of county, but thoughts on Oscar Bob to Fulham. Um, I don't really have many thoughts about Oscar Bob to Fulham, in all fairness. I think he's a player that showed a bit of promise at some point, maybe a year or so ago. He's had a few injury problems. He's gone to Fulham. I think Fulham are a decent team in the Prem, and we'll see what happens. He's still relatively young as well, isn't he? But potential injury problems. He's gone for a decent fee. Hopefully, he does well. Seems like a good player. You should thank the guy who edits the vlogs. I don't have an editor. I think we all know that. Your crown because you're the biggest gob on here. Devon, Derby is Plymouth v Exeter. Fair enough. Um, Crosdale is by far my favourite player of the past few seasons, and he could have had a hat trick against us. Yeah, he had some really good chances in that game. Um, and I think that's the thing. Like, if he takes them, it's a different game. And yeah, I think, like I say, Port Vale was a good win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away from it in any way, but it wasn't the fact we say that's the most comfortable game we've had all season in terms of score. We should probably be looking to have a few more of them in the second half of the season if we're really going to sort of flex our muscles and show what we can do and hopefully get promoted come the end of the season. I don't think we'll do that by winning every game 1-0 or 2-1. I think we are going to have to blow a few teams away, and hopefully we do that in the second half of the season, especially with the firepower we should now have in that side. Um, like I say, we've got Wootton scoring goals. We brought in Tanto, we brought in Sidibe. I guess you could still say we don't really have anyone who's an out and out goal scorer within that, but I do think that there's two pressers of the ball in that front two there with Sidibe and Tanto. You've got Wootton who is taking more of his chances this season, and we do have players throughout the team who can score goals. And if you do add in a certain someone on deadline day, who knows what can happen. In fact, I'll go as far to say, look, I don't think it's going to happen, but if we do sign Louis Barry on deadline day and he's available to play some of this season, because I don't know how long his injury is, and I do actually think we'll go promoted via automatics. County's a family club, and a long spell in the Championship will be good. I agree with that one. I think it's I don't know, it just feels right. I can just see us in the Championship. I can just see us being a steady Championship team. I think if we go up next season, I don't think we're there just to make up the numbers. I don't think we'll necessarily do what unfortunately Wrexham seem to be doing at the moment, which is they're currently in the playoffs. I don't think we'll have the budget for that. They're sort of chucking around 15, 20 million pound bids on players in France and that. I don't think we'll be able to do that. But I do think that we will be somewhat not comfortable, but I don't think we just go straight up and go straight back down. I do think we'd sort of battle it out a little bit. Um can I just say I wish February the best of luck on his loan to Charlton? Yes, you can. Absolutely agree with that one. We wish him well. It's just not really worked out so far this season. Um, Barry announcement Monday. Shane will have to wait a month to see him back on the pitch whilst recovering from injury. Right. So if it's a injury that he's over within a month, then that's decent playing time, isn't it? Uh, Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good point. I know what I'd be quite interested to know where he's heard that from as well. Option to buy for 2.5 mil. That's mad on Villa's part if that's true. I mean, I know his wages will be quite expensive, but about getting like 10 million from him this time a year ago, So yeah, it's mad how look, they took a gamble, didn't they? They tried to maximize his value by trying to send him out on loan to Championship when he was at his probably highest value, and it's just backfired massively on them. But 2.5 million still seems quite low. Having said that, in the summer, will he only have a year left in his contract? I think that might be right. Do you think Hinchcliffe will retire after this season? If I think for me, I think he's got a year left. I think his contract's up this summer, and if that's the case, especially if County go up, I think he'll look at it and go, "Look, I'm done here. I've done my time." And I think he'll retire, and I think he'll probably join on as part of the coaching staff, maybe become a goalkeeping coach. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe do something with the academy. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, that might make more sense to go into the academy because we probably have a decent goalkeeping coach already. So yeah, I think he'll probably will end up retiring. I think he'll go this season. He'll finish and give the key to Edgy Park, in my opinion. Yeah, yeah, I think it'll probably be right. Um, Jeez, we've been on for an hour nearly now. Just under an hour by about 30 seconds. So yeah, we've gone through it. Starting 11 tomorrow. Hinchliffe, Dackers Cogley, Hills, Alowu um, Edon, Bailey, I think I said before, Norwood, and then I think it'll be Stokes, Wootton, and Alafi. So that's I'm finalising that now. There's no going back. Um, County could/should be the Northern QPR. Personally, I wouldn't even dream of us playing in the Premier League. Is that in terms of you wouldn't wanna see us in the Premier League because of what comes with it, or do you just think that's so out of reach? Because I know there's some fans that go, "Actually, I wouldn't wanna be in the Premier League because, um, of what comes with it," a lot like, you go over to the Prem, think, it changes it can really change a football club, and not always for positive reasons. There are some that go, "You know what? Championship's nice." I mean, I've spoken to fans that come from the Championship and go, "I don't actually wanna go to the Prem." They're watching their teams in the top of the Championship every year. They just about missed out. They'd rather that, and they'd rather win the bulk of their games than go up to the Prem and just be there to be, you know, beaten 30 games a season or something like that. So, I don't know. I think I think it would be interesting to see for one season, just for one season even. But again, I think if County do go up to the Prem one day, I think the way in which they will have to do what they'll have to do to do that will be they'll have to build it. They'll have to build a team over a period of time, and if they do that, then I think that when they do eventually go up to the Prem, they would have a team that I think would be capable of giving it a battle, a bit like a Bournemouth almost. Um, I'll go to the last game of the season if we go up. What do you think? Will the fans storm Edgley Park pitch if we go up? The last game of the season's away at Barnet, but if we're promoted automatically before that point, then potentially, yeah. I mean, we've seen some great atmospheres on the final day over the last few seasons. Go back and watch them. 23, 24, when we secured the title was brilliant. I forget who it was against. It was against, like, Morecambe or something like that, Wimbledon maybe. Um, I should know actually because Brad Hills was on the opposing team. I think it was Accrington because Brad Hills played for Accrington on loan at the time, and the day we sealed the title, I think was against them. 23, 24. The atmosphere on the pitch when we went to Wembley against Salford in the playoffs, 22, 23. Alafi actually said that was his favourite game in terms of atmosphere and a county shirt. So, yeah, I mean, that was probably my favourite. Then again, the atmosphere was brilliant, um, in the playoffs against Leyton Orient at home. And had it had a positive outcome, that probably would have been the best experience, arguably, as well. So it's one of them, isn't it? But yeah, we've seen some great atmospheres at Edgeley Park in the last few years, especially when it gets to near the end of the season. Hopefully, we'll see some of them at the end of this season as well, and hopefully, we see some at Wembley with via Virtue Trophy. I know some people mock that competition, and I understand why, but we're in the quarterfinals now. There's an opportunity to go on and win that competition. And surely that's going to be better as well because and I think I've said this before, but we don't have a great record at Wembley. And I think how good would it be to go to the Virtue Trophy final, go and win there, go and have a positive experience at Wembley, and then if in 2 months, 3 months down the line we do end up at Wembley again for the playoff final, we've got a positive memory to sort of go off. That would be a much better way to do it for me. I thought Barry was on crutches. That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Also, we're a better team without Barry. Well, I'm a big fan of Lou Barry, but I think the stats showed in the second half of last season we were marginally better without him. So, it's interesting. Hinchcliffe contract to 27, and hopefully a coaching role. Right, but that's interesting. And so he's got another year. Yeah. Okay, that changes things. I agree with Neil there. You're bang on. Um, I think the Barry deal would have been done sooner. However, bringing him back so soon after signing Mothersill highlights it was a failed transfer. Player quality, waste of money, just my opinion. He's a good player, but again, like I say, Mock Summer's meant to come in with a good reputation and it hasn't worked out. Um, Maybe the job in the summer will be trying to recoup as much money back from Mothersill as we can possibly do. But it, for all we know, we could have a really strong second half of the season. We've seen players in recent years look like they're down and out at County, and suddenly they find themselves back in the side. I mean, I remember with what's his name now? He was on loan at Wimbledon. He went to MK Dons. The name's gone. The name's gone from my head, but we thought he was done and down and out, and he come back from his loan from Wimbledon. he played quite a big part in our second half of the season. He did eventually move on with his contract being up, but yeah, it can happen. So who knows? Who knows? Imagine the ticket prices in the Premier League, though, not for me. Yeah, that's the thing. It'd be difficult to keep them sensible. Happy with a mid-table team. I think for me, yeah, in the Championship, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think Championship for me, it's a nice level. You get some good away days, um, and yeah, I think I'd be happy with that. I remember being in the National League and now EFL League One. We are a great team. We are better than the Wolves. Better than Wolves. Well, yeah. To be fair, it would be interesting, wouldn't it, to see how we do against Wolves. And look, we might possibly have that opportunity next season if we go up and they well, there's no question about whether or not Wolves go down. It's about whether they go up to the Championship or not. Richie Wellens to be sacked, I believe. I think it could be before next Saturday if they lose Doncaster away the other night. Um, yeah, that's an interesting one, that, because a lot of people said at the beginning of the season, when people started to question Challinor, and they were talking about whether or not some people were saying Challinor was to move on, and some people said, "Oh, if it doesn't, what about if we end up getting rid of Charlie, whatever." This is the beginning of the season. A lot of people put Llewellyn's down as the guy to replace him one day at Stockport County, and just seems to have not gone well for him this season at Leyton Orient. They lost their best striker, who was it? Their best striker, I forget, Kelman, who was on loan from QPR. They lost him. They lost the keeper as well, who was on loan, I think, from Tottenham. Was it Josh Keeley? I think. Tell me if I'm wrong. By the way, they lost the goalkeeper, they lost their striker, and they also lost Ethan Galbraith as well, who went to Swansea, who was a hell of a player. Hate to admit, when he played against us at Edgeley Park in last season, he was really good against us. So do I remember playing Park Avenue and Alfreton Town and Tamworth throwbacks. Um, when are the ground improvements going to begin? Hopefully this summer, but they did say DB stand would start in January. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Wasn't there meant to be work starting last year as well initially at one point? It's all gone a little bit quiet. I mean, I know these things take time, but I don't know what's going on with that. Um, but if we do go up to the Championship, then we're gonna have to start on that work pretty quickly because there's no way Championship sides are gonna accept the sort of away end as it is at the moment. Let's say a Leeds went down, Leeds are gonna bring a lot more people than they've got, currently. Do the chants start from the top tier, the Cheadle and at Edgeley Park before the whole stand joins in? Um, I think a lot of it comes from right at the very back, and then it's the case of whether or not other people feel like joining in. But if you're right at the back of the Cheadle end, you're probably gonna be sort of in and amongst all the atmosphere in a way. So if you want atmosphere, you're in the right place if you go in there. Connor Evans, yeah, that's right. It was Connor Lemonhay Evans, wasn't it? The name just disappeared from my mind for that moment. Played for Torquay United, I remember that night too, special night. Uh, okay, going through these dead quick. And if we go up, we could face West Ham if they go down. That would be at Edgeley Park sellout. Well, we played them a couple of years ago in the FA Cup, but it was COVID, wasn't it? So we weren't able to actually go to the ground. And we held our own in that game. It was only like the last 10 minutes. Was it Craig Dawson with a late goal for West Ham, which knocked us out of the cup at the third round, I want to say. That was 2021, I think. So, yeah. Nathan Lowe signed for Wickham. Interesting. I saw someone was saying Mothersill was linked with a loan there. Not sure about that one. We didn't get permission from the council last year, something like that anyway. I think the ground improvements are going to start in the summer, but I'm not too sure on that one. I could be wrong. Interesting. I want to go now. It's getting late, so I will just chill. I've enjoyed your stream. I will see you all. Take care. Enjoy the game. Thanks very much for your input during this stream. The vlog will be going out at some point tomorrow night, typically probably around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, as quickly as I can get it done, really, whilst making sure it's done properly. On that note, it's probably a good point, a good moment to sort of go myself because it's been over an hour. It's been a great stream. I want to say a big thanks to everyone who has tuned in live. If you are watching afterwards, do get your thoughts in. I always try and read every comment. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. Can't wait to see the atmosphere as well. Happy to have Tanto back. I am expecting a good win tomorrow on Saturday. Obviously tomorrow. Score prediction. I'm going to now. I'm going to say County win this one. Um, I wanna say 3-1 County. I think we score first. I think they get another one maybe just before half time, maybe just afterwards, and then we go on and get another 2. So I'm gonna say 3-1 Stockport County. Looking forward to it. I'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow as well at the game. Um, and yeah, like I say, big thanks to everyone who's tuned in live and everyone afterwards, get your thoughts and all that kind of stuff. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, and we'll be back with the vlog from the game tomorrow. Hopefully it's been a good win for County. And yeah, thanks for watching and bye for now.